Time to get on the Rude Guest Hotline. Talk to our friend, Mr. David Aldridge. DA, how are you, man?
What's up, gentlemen?
We are great. I got to confess something. I did break the I don't know what wall that would be, the seventh wall perhaps. And I told BMitch what you put in the Commander's text thread that you're already breaking down Mount St. Mary's tape.
Correct.
How many?
Correct.
How many Mount St. Mary's games have you now watched?
Two. I'll probably watch another one tonight. I get to Dayton.
What's the favorite thing they like to do, Dave?
They use a lot of pin downs to get to their bigs. A lot of different looks to kind of get to their two big guys.
Mm-hmm.
They do high lows to them. They get them posted up off of some action on the weak side sometimes. The two bigs are pretty athletic. It's going to be a problem for us. But we've been very good at ball pressure the last month. We don't let people get to what they want to do. We don't let people post us up because we really trap the ball pretty well. So if we keep that up, we'll be in decent shape, I think. So I'm optimistic.
We've been rooting for
that love for your alma mater, baby.
Yeah, man. We had Coach Simpkins on the show yesterday, talking with our friend David Aldridge from the Athletic DC. DA, a very proud American University alum. AU takes on Mount St. Mary's tomorrow night. DA, this time of year, you're obviously an NBA guy. You've covered professional basketball for so long. What do you enjoy most? It's got to be different when your AU Eagles are in it, but what do you enjoy most over these next 3 weeks of college hoops?
I just think especially obviously the first weekend is all about upsets, right? Where everybody's looking for those big upsets, for those 15-2s, or there's those 13-4s that come up every year. So you want to see that. You want to find out. You want to learn about people like the kid at Oakland last year that just came out of nowhere and started raining threes on Kentucky. You know,
oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like those are great stories. You know, and there's great coaches like Oakland's coach that's been around forever. You know, and people that really follow college basketball know him, but most people who don't follow him don't know much about him. You know, so those great stories come out about players and kids that have been doing it, just haven't been getting noticed, but they do it on a big stage and all of a sudden they get noticed, you know. And then, you know, you think about what was St. Peter's a couple of years ago and got to the Sweet 16. I mean, it's just that you love stories like that, right? And everybody wants that. That's what makes March Madness beautiful, right? You know, once you get to the Sweet 16, you know, it's all about the blue bloods, and then it's about watching Duke play Kansas and things like that. And that's fine. You know, that's good too. I mean, that certainly matters because you want to find out who the best team is in a given year. But I think the real tournament that most people are excited about is that first weekend. You know, when anything is possible. If your team plays at its best on a given day and gets a little luck, you can be UMBC. You know what I mean? Like that's and that's forever. That's forever. You know, and so that to me is what I love about it. You know, I've covered a few tournaments over the years. And there's just nothing like the bands being there and the cheerleaders being there and the student bodies from the various schools that are able to come to sites. And I'm glad that, you know, a few years ago, for the most part, I mean, they kind of jobbed you Terps, man, sent them out to Seattle. That's terrible.
They sure
That's
did.
Just awful. That's awful. You know, like it's really bad. Like if AU got sent out to Seattle, I probably wouldn't be able to go. You know, like you just can't fly to Seattle, you know, like that's asking a lot of people, you know, like
especially when Arizona got the 4 seed in the East. Like,
yeah, I mean,
that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And I know Maryland travels, so they'll have people out there, but still, you know, like they say they make every accommodation to make it easier for people to send their fans out. You know, we're going to be in Dayton, and if we win, we'll go to Raleigh. I mean, those are doable things for us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I can get to Dayton today. It would be hard for me to get to Seattle today if I had to. You know, like you know, like
Chris Russell usually takes the bus, but
right.
Might take a while. I mean, seriously, if you look at the 4 seeds, Purdue is the 4 seed in the Midwest. You can argue where these should have been slotted, and I think perhaps Maryland should have been ahead there. But whatever, Purdue in the Midwest makes sense. Texas A&M is the 4 seed in the South. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Somehow Maryland is in the West and Arizona's in the East.
That doesn't make any sense.
None
I agree
whatsoever.
with you.
They
It
could have
doesn't
left.
make any sense.
Could have left Arizona
And
right
it's
there.
totally unfair to a great fan base that would happily go to North Carolina or to Florida or to wherever. You know what I mean?
Providence, whatever it was, right?
Yeah, well, you can get there in less than a half a day. You know,
right? It's a reasonable trip, and Seattle is not, man.
That's not reasonable.
DA, for you, with how much AU means to you,
yeah.
How do you feel about the play-in game? Because we had Coach Simpkins on, and he said, "Listen, man, for us, it's great. We are the game nationally, but I feel like I don't want any of my 16 seeds to not get their chance at being UMBC."
Right. No, I mean, that's the gamble. But, at first, reflexively, and this is, we've kind of known for the last really month or so that if we win the tournament, we win the Patriot League champion, no matter who it is probably going to be a 16. It's just Patriot League's having a down year. It's not it's not it's one of the lower D1 leagues this year. So you kind of just knew. And at first I was like, I don't want to be in the play-in. That's terrible. But then you think about it, you're like, not only, like Coach said, you're the only game in town on Wednesday night, but if you win, that's a tournament win.
Yeah.
And you get a tournament win and you get a tournament unit. You know what that is? Like you get paid. And for us, we're a small program. That's a big payday for us if we win a tournament game. And so the opportunity to win an NCAA game, get paid, get some national attention on your program is well worth it to me. I would much, if I have to play Duke, and if we win, we play Duke. I'm not under no illusions about what's going to happen on Friday if we play Duke. So if we have to play Duke, let's at least get a payday out of it before we play Duke. You know what I'm saying? So,
makes sense.
So
and
that's
you get
what I'm looking forward to, hopefully.
Duke will probably be on nationally too. I mean, if it's about, exposure and getting more kids to see the brand.
Yes.
You're going to damn sure see it with Duke out there.
DA, how excited are you about Dwayne Simpkins, just as your coach?
Oh, man. Yeah, no, it's been great. He's been great. I'm so glad that, we had a lot of people apply for the job, which is, that's every D1 job. So that doesn't mean we're special or anything like that. Like every school has dozens of people applying for their job when they become open. But I've said this many times to people because it's the truth. Like, over the course of many years of covering the NBA, you talk to college coaches all the time about players and guys that they like and guys that they think can be good pros. And so I would always, I've known Dwayne for 20 years, so, I've called him a lot of times to ask him about guys in the CAA, that had a chance to be pros that he saw at Mason and in other places he's been. And Dwayne always was, while being very respectful to the existing coaches that were at AU at the time, he always said this to me: if that AU job ever comes open, I'd be very interested in that job. Always, and we're not a big time program. You know what I mean? Like that's not a job that you automatically think, God, I can't wait for that job to open. I'm going to be all over it. So for a guy to say that to me consistently over the years, for him to get the job meant that he wanted the job, and he's wanted the job for a minute, and he's thinking locally, and the crowds that have come out this year are just different from crowds that we have seen at Bender for a long time. There's more people, obviously, but even more than that, it's much more reflective of there's people that you see that you ain't seen in Bender in 10 years. Local guys, coaches, some AAU guys, but not a ton, because Dwayne doesn't, he hasn't kind of affiliated himself with an AAU program.
Yeah, he said
but
that.
Just local guys, local high school coaches, people that have known Dwayne since he was at DeMassa, that just because he's a good dude, everybody knows him. He's a good dude, and people are rooting for him. And it's just been great to see a local school have a real local flavor in terms of not just the kids that they're recruiting and bringing in, because we got You know, we've got a bunch of kids from Maryland. We've got a couple of kids from Virginia, from right around the way. We got a kid coming in from DeMatha next year, you know, but just a guy that's been rooted in DC for a long time. It's been a fun year, man.
That's great.
It's been a really fun year.
And ultimately that's what this is about. There's what are there now? 68 teams. 67 of them are going to lose their final game.
That's right.
It's about being fun. And I think especially when you're a smaller school, it's about building that sense of community, developing a program. And, you know, like it seems like Simpkins is doing it the completely right way.
Absolutely.
I'm curious if you have looked past to tomorrow night for your boys, if you've got Final Four, if you've got champion predictions, all that kind of stuff.
I would say this. I think Houston's really good. Houston's really, really good.
They're tough.
So I kind of look at them as, I think they might have it this year. You know, like I have a feeling that team is just, they are so good defensively. You know, like they are so good. And I've watched Duke a lot this year because the local pro team might have an interest in one of their players.
Sure.
He comes out. So I've watched them a bunch this year, and they're really good. Like, Cooper's really good. Like, he's going to be a really good pro. And they've got some other guys that are really good. But to me, a great defensive team in one game can be so disruptive that they really, really make it hard for a good offensive team. You know, like good offensive teams aren't used to like not scoring. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
they're used to, they have more talent than you, and over the course of 40 minutes, they just wear you down. But if you're a really good defensive team like Houston is, like, they can really put sand in the gears and frustrate you, you know? And so I just have a feeling that whether it's Duke or somebody else, like, I don't know, I'm not an expert on college basketball. I'm not pretending to be, but having watched Houston a couple of times this year, you just come away going, boy, they're really good. They're really good. They're really good defensively. And
Sampson knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah, and he's a really good coach. And so, and they've been in Elite Eights and Final Four. So if they get there again, they're not going to be fazed by it. You know what I mean? Like, as a program, they kind of know how to do it now. So that doesn't mean I'm right. That's just you asked me a question. That's the answer that came to mind.
Right. I love your humility, DA, to suggest you're not a college basketball expert. You very much are. I mean, but you know what's funny?
Hey, we know you watch more film than most people.
Yeah, I know. There is nobody in the country that isn't on the AU staff that has grinded more Mount St. Mary's tape than you. I know that.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Weird for us to not talk football, but we'll circle back to that after the madness, all right?
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
All right,
you guys
Dave.
do that. My pleasure.
Thank you, DA.
brother.
Give
Yes, sir.
DA a follow at David Aldridge, DC. I really hope AU wins. I know that would mean so much to him and the folks in Tenleytown.